I call the honourable member for Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Immigration and Border Protection. Will the Minister update the House on how many days have passed since the last successful people smuggling venture arrived in Australia? What strategies have been effective in stopping the boats?
I call the Honourable the Minister for Immigration and Border Protection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
On my left.
And I thank the member for Lindsay for her question. The previous member for Lindsay had a habit of visiting Darwin and going out and looking for boats off our northern coast. If I were to invite the new member for Lindsay to join me to go to Darwin, she wouldn't find many boats up there, Madam Speaker, because I can inform the House that it has been 88 days. 88 days, Madam Speaker, since the last successful people smuggling venture to Australia. And as the Prime Minister was saying before, this is a government that is known for what it does, what it achieves. And 88 days, Madam Speaker, without a successful people smuggling venture, which is the product of the policies of the people who are putting those policies in place, and the resolve of this government, Madam Speaker, is what is achieving those results day in and day out. Now, Madam Speaker, as I move around the country, I find great support for the government's achievements in this area, but it would seem, Madam Speaker, there are still those opposite who doubt the effectiveness or wisdom of the policies that the government is putting in place on our borders. And the chief of those who are in doubt about these policies, Madam Speaker, is none other than the Leader of the Opposition himself. Because, Madam Speaker, on 4 occasions last week, when he was also inquired of Mr Spears about whether he supported this government's policy to turn back the boats, a policy they opposed at the last election, a policy they said could never be done, it was impossible to do, it would never work. He was asked whether he now supported it after then it had been 80 days. Now it's 88 days, Madam Speaker, and I'm interested to know whether he supports it now, Madam Speaker, because on that occasion he could not give a response. He could not give a response, and so despite the fact of this evidence, Madam Speaker, he still finds himself unable to support the policies that are working on our borders. Now, the Leader of the Opposition standards are not high, because we remember he was able to agree with the former Prime Minister Gillard, when he didn't even know what she'd said. So he doesn't really have terribly high standards when it comes to these things, but I would have hoped that when he sees the success on our borders, that he would be able to bring himself to admit that those on the other side, Madam Speaker, got it wrong on our borders. They got the policy wrong, and now when they see a policy working, they should embrace it. Because, Madam Speaker, the people of Western Australia have to go to a Senate election, and they know what this coalition stands for when it comes to our borders. There is no doubt about what those on this side stand for when it comes to border protection. But on that side, it is a complete blank page, Madam Speaker. You wouldn't know what this Leader of the Opposition thought about anything. He needs a GPS to find his principles, Madam Speaker, when it comes to anything. And on border protection, it's no different. It is absolutely no different, because even when it's presented to him, despite the fact that he denies to attend briefings, he still doesn't believe.